So, what if you could unlock your absolute full potential with just one simple shift in how you think? Well, that is the huge promise of a book that sold over 6 million copies, Dr. David J. Schwartz's classic, The Magic of Thinking Big. Today we're going to break down its core principles and see how they can totally transform your approach to success.
I want to start with a really direct question for you. Think about your biggest goals, right? Your wildest ambitions. Now, what if the single biggest thing standing in your way isn't the economy or your boss or your circumstances? What if it's your own thinking?
And that quote? That's really the heart of the whole book. Schwartz's argument is that our reality is just a direct reflection of our mindset. The size of our success is literally determined by the size of our thinking. So, the very first step in taking down these barriers we build for ourselves is mastering the foundation of all achievement.
It all starts right here, with the foundational key to every single thing you will ever accomplish: belief. And I'm not talking about just hope or, wishing. I'm talking about a deep, unshakable conviction that you can and you will succeed.
Yeah, and this image just nails the whole idea, doesn't it? Success isn't just for geniuses or the super talented. Schwartz's big point is that success is for those who build a powerful belief system, a belief so strong that it actually generates the power, the skill, and the energy you need to get to the top.
I just love this definition from the book. Belief isn't passive, It's that active, I-can-do-it attitude that actually gets things done. And think about that thermostat analogy. It's perfect. If you set your thermostat to a low temperature, a low level of belief, you're only ever going to get lukewarm, mediocre results. But if you crank that thermostat way, way up, you create the mental environment for huge accomplishments.
So how do you actually build this belief? Well, Schwartz gives us 3 really practical steps. First, you've got to consciously train your mind to focus on success, not failure. Second, you have to stop selling yourself short. Remind yourself, daily if you have to, that you are way better than you think you are. And finally, you have to believe big. Stretch your goals, aim for something that really excites you, maybe even scares you a little. The size of your belief has to match the size of your goal.
Okay, so we've cranked up our belief thermostat. But what's the very first thing that tries to sneak in and turn it back down? Excuses. Schwartz says we have to actively cure ourselves of what he calls the failure disease.
He actually gives it a name: excusitis. It's this habit of explaining away why we haven't done something. And the crazy part is the observation that there's this inverse relationship here. The more successful a person is, the fewer excuses they make. They just take ownership.
All right, now this is where we've got to be really honest with ourselves. As we go through the most common types of this so-called disease, I want you to ask yourself, which one of these sounds a little too familiar?
First up, we've got health excusitis. Oh, I'm too tired, or I just don't have the energy. Then there's intelligence excusitis, that little voice that says you're not smart enough, when Schwartz argues it's all about how you use your brain, not your raw IQ. Age excusitis is a classic. I'm too young, or I'm too old to start. And finally, luck excusitis, which is really just a way to avoid taking responsibility for our own effort. Just recognizing your go-to excuse is the very first step to getting rid of it.
So once you stop making excuses, you can finally focus on the next huge obstacle: fear. But here's the good news. Confidence isn't something you're just born with. It's a skill. And just like any other skill, you can build it with practice.
This might just be the most powerful 3-word sentence in the entire book. It's so simple, but so true. See, fear loves it when you do nothing. It thrives on uncertainty. But the second you take a step, any step, no matter how small, fear starts to lose its power. You know how fear can just freeze you, right? It makes us hesitate, overthink things, and in the end, we do nothing at all. But confidence, that's built on momentum. Every single step you take, every action you commit to, it builds up that self-assurance you need to just keep moving forward. And it shrinks that fear down until it's totally manageable.
So what can you actually do? Well, first, define your fear. Give it a name instead of letting it be this big, vague cloud of anxiety. Then take one small, specific action to face it. But I love these last few points because they're such simple, almost physical things. Sit in the front row, make eye contact, walk with purpose, 25% faster, and smile, a big one. When you act confident, you actually start to feel confident. It's amazing.
And this right here brings us to the master key, the thing that unlocks everything else we've talked about. You can have all the belief in the world, overcome your excuses, manage your fear, but if you don't take action, absolutely nothing happens.
Schwartz creates this brilliant distinction between two types of people. On one side, you have the activationist. This is the doer, the person who just gets things done. And on the other side, you've got the passivationist, the person who waits and analyzes, but never actually does the thing. They're always waiting for that perfect time, which, let's be honest, never actually arrives.
Look, here's the bottom line, and this is so important. The world doesn't reward you for having brilliant ideas. It rewards you for executing those ideas. A good idea that you actually act on is infinitely more valuable than some genius idea that just stays stuck in your head. Execution is everything.
So how do you become that activationist person? Simple. Don't wait around for inspiration to strike. Start the work, and I promise inspiration will find you. Make now your default setting. When you think of something that needs doing, do it now. Be the person who volunteers, who steps up, who takes that first step. That's how you build the action habit.
Okay, let's talk about the final, crucial piece of this puzzle. Because even with all the belief and action in the world, you are going to face setbacks. It's just inevitable. The real difference between success and failure comes down to how you respond when you get knocked down.
Schwartz paints this really clear picture of three types of people. First, you've got Mr. Skid Row, who is just completely broken by failure. Then there's Mr. Mediocre. He gets knocked down, gets back up, but then decides to play it safe forever to avoid getting hurt again. But then, you have Mr. Success. He sees defeat totally differently. For him, every setback is just tuition paid for a valuable lesson. It's just feedback.
So how do we make sure we're Mr. or Ms. Success? Well, when you face a setback, don't just ignore it. Study it. Be your own constructive critic and figure out what really went wrong. Ditch that whole bad luck excuse and dig for the real reason. And this last one is key. Blend your persistence with experimentation. Keep going after your goal, but be willing to try a new approach. And that right there is the magic of thinking big. It isn't about avoiding failure. It's about making your response to failure bigger than the setback itself. So I'll leave you with this final thought to take with you from our explainer today. Think about a recent challenge or a setback you faced. Now, how can you reframe it? What's the lesson there? And what defeat are you going to turn into your next victory?